In this on-demand video, OJM Group Partner Bob Peelman provides an update on college savings options and highlights a new benefit that will make 529 plans even more advantageous beginning in 2024. If you have more questions or want to learn how to incorporate 529 plans into your financial strategy, click the link below to schedule a complimentary one-on-one consultation with one of our experienced team members.
Hello, my name is Bob Peelman. I am the Director of Wealth Advisors here at OJM Group and Partner. Today, I want to talk about a topic that we hear from our clients quite a bit, which is how to best plan for college, higher education, grad school, the increasing cost of education year over year has put a lot of strain on folks when it comes to trying to plan for cash flow and those expenses, not only for K through 12, if you're in a private school, but also undergrad and, as I said, grad school. So there's been a couple changes that provide some flexibility in the way of college planning that I want to cover on the back end of this presentation. But first, I want to talk a little bit about some facts about higher education and what we're looking at today as it relates to tuition. So tuition inflation has increased quickly. It's actually one of the fastest growing over all other household expenses in recent decades. College tuitions going back to 1983, the cumulative price change is 861%. That averages out to about 5.8% average annual increase for tuition. Again, why costs typically rise. Colleges are spending more and more to attract the best students. Colleges are hiring more faculty and administrative staff. Colleges are receiving less financial support from states. So when we think about how to plan for something when you have a newborn that's 18 plus years away from using those funds, at these rapidly increasing inflation rates, it's important to make sure that we're optimizing what we're doing from a savings standpoint. Obviously, higher education pays. We realize that it's an important component, the foundation of what we do here in the United States, in the world, that education is going to drive not only a host of benefits in someone's life, but lifetime of earnings. A professional degree, bachelor's degree, high school graduate, the average annual earnings by degree for a high school graduate currently is $42,851. And that quickly jumps up for a bachelor's degree of 88%. So you're already jumping up to about $80,384 of average annual earnings. And then as we slide over to a professional degree, we're looking at a 265% increase, or $156,305 of average annual earnings. So college pays for itself. The data is clear on that for most degrees, most universities, that it does pay for itself. But how do we get there? How do we optimize it? And how do we make sure that what you're doing from a savings standpoint is best for your child? Again, the future four-year college cost, the projected cost of a four-year college education based on your child's current age. So newborn, a private institution, we're talking about $554,220. That's $241,168 projected cost for a public in-state university. So those are big numbers. When we sit down and start planning about, that newborn comes along and we get the question of how do we begin to save for education? What makes the most sense? And you start to think about those numbers of, $250,000, $500,000. And if you start late, you're talking about some pretty big numbers as well. So those are important things to think about from a higher education sort of facts and figures. Yes, we know it's important. Yes, we understand it's going to be very expensive, and it's growing quickly, that cost. And so I like to talk a little bit about what are the most common college planning vehicles and understanding the differences between what are the most basic college planning vehicles out there. Number one is the 529 education plan. Secondly, we have the custodial account, which is the UTMA, UGMA accounts. And then finally, the Coverdale Education Savings Account, which has become a lot less prevalent recently. So the 529 account, it's tax-free investing and withdrawals for qualified expenses. Some states will provide a state tax deduction as you make that contribution, but not in other states. So you're going to want to check what state you live in and what state sponsored plan you have offered to you. Annual contribution amount without gift taxes, so 170,000 per beneficiary. So 5 years of tax-free gifts in 1 year can be made. The account owner will control the life of the account, so you can change that beneficiary. In a little bit, we're going to talk about some new opportunities for planning with 529 plans and why that's an exciting opportunity down the road potentially. The assets are removed from your taxable state, so this is truly a gift that goes into the 529 plan. The impact on federal financial aid, which is a question that we get quite a bit, is pretty low. It's very technical as you begin to go through the planning forms to move into a university and decide where you're going to go, what the federal and financial aid will be for you. But the 529 plans are some of the lowest as it relates to that, because again, the account owner is controlling that asset. Another type of account is the custodial account. No state tax breaks, no income limits on contributions. Some of the earnings may be taxed at the child's rate, so you're not going to get that pure tax-free investing. The annual contribution amount is simply the $34,000 per beneficiary. So the annual gift amounts between a husband and wife go right into that account as a gift. The account owner controls it until age 18 or 21, depending on the state that you live in. And that's sort of one of the disadvantages is right at age 18, right at age 21, those assets then flip right over to that minor, or at that age that they become a age of majority at 18 or 21. It does have a very high impact on federal financial aid, so that's why it can be a nice planning vehicle, but it's one that typically is used to supplement what's happening with a 529 plan. Again, the Coverdale education account has become less prevalent over the years because of how much you can put into it. It does come with tax-free investing and withdrawals for qualified expenses, no state tax breaks on any contributions going in, but you're limited to $2,000 per beneficiary going into a Coverdale plan, and the money really needs to be used before age 30. So if you've not pulled that money out before age 30, you're going to have a problem where those funds have to come out potentially with penalty and with taxes. Again, the Coverdale Education Savings Account, it's pretty low on the federal financial aid impact. So let's dig into what we recommend most often and probably what you've heard the most about, which is the 529 plan and some of the benefits. Again, the tax deferred growth piece is a big part of it. When you can grow investment assets without paying taxes year over year, the compounding interest on that is pretty powerful. And so you're going to be able to grow faster that savings that you're putting in, which, as I alluded to before, is going to be very important because of how fast the cost of education is increasing. Distributions are tax-free for qualified education expenses. So there's a long list of what makes up a qualified education expense, but it's pretty broad. So not only is it just tuition, room, board, it extends out quite a bit. So that's something that you'll want to go over with your advisor as you begin to think about those distributions. The flexibility to change beneficiaries is really big. This is going to allow you, if one of your children potentially receives scholarships or financial aid, you can change the beneficiary to one of their siblings. If those funds aren't being used for education, you can potentially change the beneficiary to a future grandchild. So having that ability to change beneficiaries makes the plan even more flexible as we think about how we're using that money. Again, I talked a little bit about how you can accelerate funding with those annual gift rules, so you can really pack a lot of money in there in a short period of time, which with compounding interest and time value of money is going to be important. It can be used for K through 12 public, private, or religious schools now, up to $10,000 per year per child per account. So that's new. That's been around a couple years now, but that's an extra added piece of flexibility where you've got potentially a low cash flow year, but you have a few children in private school and high school, and you want to tap into some of those funds. You'll be able to do that in a 529 plan. And where I want to spend a little bit of time is something new coming with 529 plans, which is the ability to transfer a 529 plan balance to a Roth. So here's what you need to know about that. So this is new via the Secure Act 2.0. It's effective in 2024. What it essentially allows you to do is take a 529 plan and move it directly to a Roth IRA. Now, the beneficiary of the 529 plan and the owner of the Roth IRA must be the same person. So you can't have a 529 plan with the beneficiary as your child and want to move the Roth to your Roth. This would have to go to a Roth IRA for them. The max of $35,000 that can be rolled over is from a 529 to a Roth is that $35,000. Annual contribution limits still apply. So for example, in 2023, the limit was $6,500, which means it would take 6 years to convert over to get to that $35,000 amount. The beneficiary must have compensation. So this is something to keep in mind. Obviously, an infant is not going to have compensation, or a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old. So this is going to be something kind of later down the road in a 529 plan where we're going to want to be thinking about this. So the beneficiary must have some compensation. The rollover is not allowed until a 529 account has been open for at least 15 years. Another important element to remember here. And the contributions to the 529 plan made within the previous 5 years and the earnings on those contributions are not eligible to be transferred. So as we kind of peel back and think about this from a strategy standpoint, when will we use this? When would it make sense? Is this something that would we even want to do? So I think it's important. I think it's an extra added piece of flexibility, and if you plan it properly, it can work really well. So let's think about a scenario where you contribute to a 529 plan at birth, and by the time the child is 16, we have that 15-year rule completely met. Now, this 16-year-old has some compensation, maybe a summer job or working in the family business. You can begin then to take some of that 529 plan money and kind of leak that money over into the Roth IRA for that same beneficiary. So, if we think about how that will work, the initial 529 plan contributions at birth of say 11,000, and then you begin to make these annual transfers from the 529 plan to the Roth beginning at age 16. And let's just assume you're going to do the maximum amount. You're going to do, and right now it's 6,500, but those are going to increase over time. You could potentially, by the 20th birthday of that child, have depleted the 529. And if you have an annual growth rate of approximately 7%, and that contribution limit's increasing at about 3%, you could potentially have a Roth IRA of nearly $1 million at age 65 for that child, or maybe around $2.5 million around age 80. So you think about, that child around age 16 or 17, and now college is either not the direction that they're going, or you've taken care of education costs in another way, scholarships, you've got this added extra flexibility to now take this money instead of changing the beneficiary to someone else, actually starting your child out with unbelievable retirement assets and really starting them out on the right foot, or not even the right foot, an unbelievable advantage. So, that's just one extra added piece of flexibility and what I wanted to focus on today. So, overall, theme wise, we know education costs are getting more and more expensive. We understand that it's important for higher education. And so how do we pay for it? How do we plan for it? We know student loans are available. We know those things are out there. But if we're trying to take care of education costs for our children, the 529 plan is probably your best vehicle. Certainly it's something we can talk about in more detail and you should talk about with your advisor. But I really wanted to talk a little bit about that added new benefit here that we're going to see in 2024 with the Roth IRA 529 plan transfer and how that might impact you and how you can take advantage of it. Hope today's been helpful. Thank you.
OJM is a multidisciplinary wealth management firm. For nearly 2 decades, our firm has helped physicians across the U.S. reduce taxes, protect assets, and achieve their financial goals. OJM Group offers viewers a complimentary consultation where we can answer your questions to see if our firm might be a good fit for your situation. Simply click the button below to schedule your free consultation. We hope to speak with you soon. Thanks for watching.